After so many days, I've got a class with you, right? And we had completed 4 chapters. So this is the 5th chapter which we were doing. That is the president and the vice president. The president and the vice president. Last class of mine is where we had started, and I had discussed the answers to also structured, right? Question number one. And while discussing question number one, structured ABC, right? While quitting the class, leaving the class, I had asked you to go through question number two, structures ABC, right? Now, since if you have not been able to complete structures 2A, right? But I think you should have completed 2A. Is what I feel. At least 2A, if not B and C, right? If not B and C, you should have completed 2A. One ABC and next that is structured 2A. You're left with 2B and C, right? So I will discuss this and I will give you the answer, right? If you have not done, no problem, but listen to me carefully, mark the answers while I give you the explanation, right? Now, for this chapter, last year, this year, examination paper I'm talking about, right? It had some questions, 10 marks question had come from this chapter. From this chapter, repeating again, this year, this year's paper has covered 10 marks question from this chapter. That is the president and the vice president. The question which had been asked was about how he is appointed, right? So the answer was through electoral college and the members who are there responsible, the composition, right? So this was asked this year. Then there was again a question on the discretionary powers of president. So today I think so I have to start with discretionary powers of the president, because last time we completed with the powers, that is executive, diplomatic, legislative, and then military and judicial. So I could not complete or right or could not start with discretionary powers of the President of India. This time the question had been asked that what are the discretionary powers of the President of India, right? There are numerous discretionary powers. Here you have four mentioned over here. Now if you have your pen or pencil along with you, you can write down, okay? Just in brief or in very short, if I say, right, you can write down the discretionary powers. Or let me finish, let me finish off these 4 points. After 5 minutes, I'm going to log the class. So if your friends are still late, not joining the class, please ask them to be a part of the class fast. Now here you have discretionary powers, very important. You should know about it thoroughly. You should be prepared, right? Discretionary because yes, these are certain special powers given to the President of India. Otherwise, if you had studied, right, inside, but my class after so many days, right? So I hope you must have gone through. While going through the different powers, right, you must have tried to understand that actually the powers are being controlled. The real control is lying on the hands of the Prime Minister and his Council of Ministers, right? But here you have, this is something very special, the discretionary powers, okay? Where we see that already mentioned over here, there are certain gray areas where President may use his wisdom and judgment. Please underline this. Please underline this point, that the President uses wisdom and judgment. So please underline this as one of the points. It can be taken as one of the points that here the President is using his wisdom and judgment, right? So this can be considered as a point as well. Now next one you have that what are these discretionary powers of the President? First thing, yes, when there is a hung parliament. The word is mentioned here in first point, when there is a hung parliament. Now, what is this hung parliament? It means that when no single party, okay, single party gets a clear support or a majority, right, in the Lok Sabha. So no party gets a single majority in the House in the Lok Lok Sabha, right? So this is called a hung parliament. This is called a hung parliament. So no one has got a majority, right? So from where are we going to get the prime minister, right? So it is during this situation the president enjoys. During this situation, when there is a hung parliament, the president enjoys this discretionary power to appoint the president of, to appoint the prime minister of India, right? So this is now it continues if you see carefully because the president cannot appoint the new prime minister on the advice of the outgoing prime minister, right? So the earlier prime minister cannot advise because he is no more in the majority, right? So he uses his own discretionary or his, if I say his wisdom to appoint the prime minister of India. So this is the first point, right? Now next I come to that is appointment of prime minister in case of sudden death. Now, in case of prime minister, yes, some or reason or the other mentioned over here, maybe due to assassination. Assassination, it can be this that he was killed by someone, right? For example, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, right? We have Indira Gandhi as well as Rajiv Gandhi. Both were some way or the other they were killed, right? So what happens during this time, right, of incumbent, where the ruling legislature party is unable to meet immediately to elect a leader. So it is who's going to appoint? It is the president. So appointment of prime minister in case of sudden death. So in case of assassination or some reason or the other, the president, the prime minister had has died. So that time he can appoint the prime minister. Now, next, third, when the ruling party has lost majority support in the Lok Sabha. Now, this is from the no confidence motion, right? So, due to maybe no confidence motion, that ruling party has lost majority, right? So, what happens? Again, to be seen, if you can read yourself, the ruling party who has lost majority support in Lok Sabha or when vote of no confidence, right, has been passed against it. So recommends to the president to dissolve the Lok Sabha, right? Who is actually recommending? It is usually the prime minister, okay, who has lost. So recommends the president to dissolve the Lok Sabha. Then it is at the discretion again of the president to either dissolve the house. So it is all up to him if he wants to dissolve the house or he can ask the opposition to show their majority if they have the majority or not. So it is up to him. He can either dissolve the house or ask another party, right, to prove its majority on the floor of the house. So this is the third point about the discretionary power of the president of India. I hope you have understood. I just, yes, must be clear that in case of no confidence motion being passed, right, if it has been passed, that time again the president uses his discretionary power to appoint the prime minister. And how is he going to use this? He can ask the other party, right? He can dissolve it or he can ask the other party to show or yes, to show their, if I said prove their majority on the floor of the house, right? So this is the first, second, and third. And fourth point mentioned over here, he can he is enjoying the power to dismiss ministers in case of Council of Ministers loses confidence of the House but refuses to resign. Now, it is actually indirectly speaking about no confidence motion only. But here, in case of that minister, okay, this has lost confidence and he is refusing to resign, he is refusing to leave, right? So it is the president who can simply ask him to leave the house, right? So these are the 4 points mentioned over here about the discretionary power of the president of India, right? Now, very briefly, you can also mention 1 or 2 points, just write it over there beside. He can dissolve or something which you can remember. Please write it down. Please write it down over there. 2 points, just 2 points I wanted to write down beside it. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 more points. He can withhold assent to an ordinary bill. He can withhold assent to an ordinary bill. or send it back for reconsideration. He can withhold assent to an ordinary bill or send it back for reconsideration. This is about the bill, okay? Ordinary bill. It's not about money bill. It's about ordinary bill. Please write it down as your fifth point. So he can, okay, withhold the assent. So he can withhold. Withhold means he will not give his assent, right, to the bill, ordinary bill, and or he can send it back for reconsideration to look over again to that particular bill, ordinary bill. Mentioning again, ordinary bill. Please don't write for the exams money bill. It is an ordinary bill, right? So there are other bills other than money bill. They are called as ordinary bill. And you can write down as the next point, there is no time limit. There is no time limit. There is no time limit. There is no time limit within which he is to declare his assent. So there is no time limit given, okay, to him to give his assent to the bill. I hope it is clear. Please write down. This will help you to remember, right? So there is no time limit to give assent to a bill. So these are certain points. Now next we come to, so you have this question at the back, question number 2, discretionary powers of the president. You can write down the discretionary powers. I hope that is 2C, explain 2 discretionary powers of the president. But I would like everyone to write down 4 points. Please write down 4 points because during examination, you may not know how many points are being asked, right? So being on the safe side, you should write down at least 4 points, right? Being on the safe side. That's why I'm asking, because the council is very particular. It's very particular, otherwise you will simply lose out your marks. So it's quite clear to everyone. So it's better to write down instead of losing marks. And while you are preparing, since you all are all at home, so you should be covering all the chapters carefully. I'm just repeating all the time, repeating all the time. You should be thorough with civics first chapter. Be thorough with the civics first chapter, right? That is the Union Parliament. 14 marks sure to come. 13 to 14 marks sure to come for the council examination, as well as if I say for your pre-board examination as well, right? 14 marks will definitely be, it will be covered. Even if we have, I don't know when things will get normal, if we have a half-yearly examination, sure you will get 10 marks question from that chapter. Is it clear? And maybe 2 marks for, again, short questions from that chapter. So 10 marks. So as I mentioned, for your pre-board and for your board examination, 10 marks, that is structures, long, and 4 marks for your short. So please be thorough. Don't leave it out. It's always very scoring, right? So if you are really genuine towards your studies, you will definitely pay heed to my words. And since this chapter has come this year, so I really don't know how far we can put emphasis on this chapter, right? So now next we come to emergency powers. What are the emergency powers of the president, right? You have a question at the back as well, right? So emergency power, the circumstances to be. Mention the circumstances when president can declare a national emergency. But first, before we start with the circumstances of national emergency, we will go through that what are the different emergencies. First we have national emergency, which is also called as general emergency. Next we have breakdown of constitutional machinery in a state, and point number C, that is speaking about financial emergency. Financial emergency, right? So I think it's quite clear. So explaining about it. First, national emergency, that is during any kind of foreign aggression or danger to the peace and security of the country. So something national at a national level, okay? So there is a danger from any foreign aggression, any foreign country attacking on India by the neighboring countries. So during that time of aggression, national emergency can be declared, right? Now next, point number B. So please underline Article 352, that is National Emergency, Article 352. It's very easy to remember. I'll tell you how you can remember. The National Emergency, Article 352, right? Then breakdown of constitutional machinery. This is Article 356. Article 356. This is usually constitutional machinery breakdown in a state. State. Maybe any of the states of India where we see that maybe because of dysfunctioning of the government, right? So we have president rule in that particular, maybe in that particular state. So the constitutional machinery in a state has broken down, or there is deadlock because of political uncertainties. It can happen. There is no one again getting a majority in, or unable to form the government, right, in a particular state during maybe those circumstances. We can have president's rule, right? Or it can be called as a system of emergency where we have president's rule being enforced, breakdown of constitutional machinery. And next we have financial emergency. Now this financial emergency, a setback to the financial stability, or some crisis has occurred, right? And our finances have completely got shattered, deteriorated, right? So during that time, we have financial emergency. We shall go through what is financial emergency as well, all in detail. So here you have, this is covering Article 360. Now look at these articles very carefully, right? Easy to remember, 352, right? If you cannot recall, right, or learn by heart, just try to understand very logically how you can learn. 352, national emergency. So you have to remember 52, but 56, how you can remember, that is 3, 4, 5. So just after 4 digits, okay? 52, 3, 4, 5, you get 56, right? Then again, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60. So again, giving three digits, you are getting to easily remember the article. Okay, these articles. I hope it's easy. 52, 56, and then 60. Very easy. So yes, you just say about 3. So you will be able to remember the articles, right? I think this is a logical way to remember the articles, right, of the emergency. If you cannot learn it by heart, there's no need to learn by heart. You must be very, smart in your studies, how to learn up the things. Now, next you have circumstances. You must know these circumstances. Financial emergency, already told you, that is maybe because of the security reasons, right? So, if the president is satisfied that a grave emergency exists where the security of India or any part of its territory is threatened, right? Maybe because of war, maybe because of the threat of the neighboring countries, right? So the president can so the president cannot issue such a proclamation unless he has the approval in writing of the Union Cabinet. Now, if you look at these lines very carefully, the actual powers are actually vested on the hands of the Council of Ministers. That is the Union Cabinet, actually, right? The cabinet. It's not the Council of Ministers, but those special ministers who are there, Prime Minister and his cabinet, the senior most ministers, they are the people who are responsible. So we have this whole procedure. It has to be passed in the House. Then only emergency can be declared. So here, mention over here how the emergency is declared in the House. So every proclamation of emergency, it has to be approved by Lok Sabha as well as by Rajya Sabha within 1 month of special majority. So within 1 month, this has to be declared by a special majority. What is that? By a majority of total membership of the House and a majority not less than two-thirds of members present and voting. So at least two-thirds members who are there, right? So should be supporting the, if I say, the national emergency. It cannot remain in operation for more than 6 months. So how long this emergency situation can exist? Not more than 6 months, so at least 6 months. At the time, at the end of 6 months, it has to be renewed by Parliament. So again, the same procedure goes on by a special majority, else it lapses. So if it doesn't get the majority which is needed, right, two-thirds majority, it's going to lapse. Lapse in the sense that the emergency time is going to get over. So this is quite clear. So if Lok Sabha passes a resolution disapproving emergency, the president has to revoke the proclamation. Revoke means to remove, right? So if it is not in favor of emergency of the parliament, right, he has to remove. It's actually, he's just a rubber stamp. The president is just a rubber stamp. It's all being done by the prime minister and his cabinet, or if I say in general, it is the parliament which is enjoying the power. Next, you have this emergency. What are the effects to be observed during national emergency? The effects to be observed, right? So first thing, fundamental rights. Then you have the relationship between the center and the state. Then you have finances. And then what happens between the union and state legislature, that is the lawmaking authority and the power. So first, what happens there are during emergency certain fundamental rights to get suspended. So here it is mentioned very clearly the most important factor of emergency, national emergency, that is that the exercise of fundamental rights is partially or wholly suspended. So you don't enjoy much of your fundamental rights, right? So even right to move to Supreme Court or state high court for the enforcement of the rights, right? You don't really enjoy except for that is Article 20 and 21 remain suspended. Article 20, which says that no person shall be punished for the same offense more than once. And Article 21 declares no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except according to the procedure established by law, right? So what do we see? That is the suspension of our fundamental rights. Next, center-state relationship. What happens to center-state relationship? So during emergency, the center enjoys more power, right? So the country has to forgo its federal spirit. Forgo means, yes, that federal spirit where the powers are well divided between the center and the state, right? So during a time of national emergency, what happens? This spirit really fades away for the time period, right? So the actual powers are vested on the hands of the if I say on the hands of the union government, right? So union parliament acquires the power to give directions to a state on any matter. So who is enjoying now? It's the union parliament which is directing the state governments. So this is in brief. So that the state government will be under the complete control of union executive. So completely under the union executive, it means the prime minister and his council of ministers, right? Next, so and will function as under a unitary system with local subdivisions. So it becomes unitary and less of federal. Please go through, children, please. I request you should be going through all the chapters, all the lessons. Otherwise, you will not understand most of the terms. I know most of you must be scratching your head, must have forgotten what is unitary and what is federal also, right? And since circumstances do not permit me so much that I keep on explaining you. So please, I request you must go through because things have been explained. And if you do not read, you skip off, right? You think I will read or go through it later, you will create trouble for yourself, right? Next, third, finances. The center is empowered to suspend the financial provisions. So all such financial provisions do remain suspended. Provisions of the Constitution, matters such as distribution of revenue between center and state and the salaries of MPs may be altered. Altered here means it can get changed, right? Alteration can take place during these kind of circumstances or during national emergency, right? So the salaries can get changed. So the financial control comes under the control of the Union Parliament, right? So even the finances are totally controlled. So mention you can underline the center is empowered to suspend the financial provisions of the Constitution, right? You can underline this. Next, fourth, union and state legislature. So this is the law-making authority. So during emergency, the term of Lok Sabha may be extended for a period of 1 year. 5 years plus 1 year. So during emergency, 5 years, and it can get extended to 1 more year, right? So if there is a situation of emergency, so the same rule may be applied to the legislative assembly or any state. So same can happen in a state as well. by 5 years plus 1 year. So it can get extended to 1 year, right? So this is in brief about the effects of general, or if I say national emergency. You have the examples mentioned over here. That is when we had national emergency, that is 1962, 26th October, when we were threatened by Chinese aggression, right? And next we had in 1971, 3rd December 1971, when Pakistan launched an attack on India, right? So these are a neighboring countries. So due to these national, if I say maybe due to the threat of foreign countries, we had to declare national emergency, right? So the examples were very clearly mentioned to you. Now next we come to breakdown of constitutional machinery. Breakdown of constitutional machinery. So circumstances, coming back to the question, structure to be structured, mention circumstances when president can declare national emergency. Circumstances, you will write down the circumstances. If you can see the subheading circumstances mentioned, you will write down this full paragraph, right? The circumstances when the national emergency is declared. Now, next, breakdown of constitutional machinery, right? We will go through question number 3A, B, and C. Question number 3A, B, C. And the first thing, 3A, I'm reading out the question. 3A, when can such an emergency be proclaimed? That is emergency in a state. Why is such an emergency often referred to as president's rule? So let me cover this paragraph. This is the first paragraph where you have circumstances mentioned. You can see the heading circumstances, right? So this is the whole paragraph which is going to be the answer of your question number 3A, right? 3A, circumstances. Sorry, if the president is receiving a receipt of report from governor or otherwise is satisfied that the governance of state cannot be carried out in accordance with the provisions of the constitution. So it is not working according to the provisions of the constitution, and the president is convinced. And who is providing the receipt to him? It is the governor of the state, right? Convinces the president. So during that time, emergency is declared. Next, this is called president's rule because the president may assume to himself all or any of the functions of the government of the state. So you have the question, sub-questions over there, one more sub-part of this question mentioned there. That is, I'm reading out, why is such an emergency often referred to as president rule? This is called president rule because the president may assume to himself all or any of the functions of the government of the state. So he assumes all the power. I think so. This was asked for pre-board. This question was asked for pre-board this year, right? So this is the answer. Next, you have next question. Again, I'm just going back. If you go through the question, third B now. Third B. When can such an emergency proclaimed, right? Why is such an emergency often referred to as president's rule? So proclamation, when? Yes, the circumstances. It's done. Now duration, mentioned over here. Duration of such an emergency is usually 2 months, right? National emergency was 6 months. State only 2 months. It should be ratified by the parliament. So the parliament should ratify it. The proclamation will cease to be valid for 6 months after date of its issue, even if the parliament ratifies it. It cannot, however, be extended for another 6. Please, the duration of such an emergency is 2 months. Underline, if it were to continue beyond 2 months, it should be ratified. So if it is really going to continue for more than 2 months, it has to be ratified by the parliament, and then it goes on for valid for 6 months, right? So it has to be valid after being ratified by the parliament. It can continue for 6 months, right? It can, however, be extended. There can be certain circumstances where this state emergency situation can be extended more than 6 months, right? Now, what is that? It may be extended beyond 1 year during these circumstances, A and B. When a proclamation of emergency is in operation in the whole of India. So when the situation of emergency is there in the whole of India, right? So during this kind of situation, what do we see? That is the state emergency. Maybe it was there, or for example, if I say um, state emergency was declared in the month of January, right? January, and it continued for 6 months, right? January, February, March, April, May, right? May. I'm just taking May, 5 months, okay? And then all of a sudden, national emergency was declared, right? All of a sudden, national emergency was declared. So this gets added, right? And so the emergency period gets extended in the state as well. So already I told you, maybe national emergency is for 6 months, so it can be added to that emergency, right? State emergency. So May, it can go on June, July, August, September, right? And further, it can get extended, right? So next, the Election Commission certifies that holding election is very difficult in that particular state. So holding elections to the state assembly of the state is difficult. So if the election commission says that it's very difficult to hold elections, right? So during that time, what can happen? This emergency situation can get extended. So, however, no such proclamation shall remain in force more than 3 years. So, not more than 3 years can go on, right? Some solution has to be taken out. Now, next, effects of emergency in a state. Effects of emergency in a state. So, you have question number 30. State the effect of the emergency on the administration of the state. Here you have 1, 2, and 3 points are there. So, the state administration is directly placed under president, right? The governor of the concerned state acts in accordance with the instructions, right? Who is actually the person? The president is there, but he's getting all the instructions. The president is there and he is giving all the instructions to the governor, right? So the governor of the concerned state acts in accordance with the instructions that are issued by the union government from time to time. So this is the first point. The president may. This is about what is happening, right? Third, it can get dissolved. Vidhan Sabha can get dissolved. Okay, dissolve the Vidhan Sabha of the state and dismiss the Council of Ministers. Or second point, keep the assembly of the council and the council of the ministers in suspended, so they can remain suspended. Okay, for some time, right? So first point, state administration is directly placed under the president. President, actually it means totally under the control of the union government, the central government, right? And second point, president can dissolve the Vidhan Sabha, right? Or it can also keep the assembly and the council of ministers suspended, right? Now, in both cases, union parliament can pass laws even on all subjects of the state list. Now, we had gone through first chapter, that is union list, state list, conference list, right? So, what do we see? What do we see? Now, where I was, in both cases, the union parliament can pass laws even on all subjects of the state list. Now, if you can recall state list, there are certain law-making authorities on the state government, right? Powers on the state government. So that comes under state list. So during these circumstances, or maybe during the time of constitutional breakdown in the state, right? So the union parliament enjoys the right to make legislature for the state. So here we see in both cases, union parliament can pass laws even on all subjects of the state list. And even the annual budget of that state is presented and passed by the parliament. So total control is actually lying on the hands of the union parliament, right? So total control. So state list, the budget, everything is controlled, okay? Everything is controlled by the union parliament, right? Or if I say by the ministers, that is the central government. Now third, when the Lok Sabha is not in session, when the Lok Sabha is not in session, okay, is not in session, the president may authorize expenditure out of consolidated fund of the state. So when it is not working, right, it's not there in any of the sessions, none of the sessions are going on. So that time, yes, the president can authorize the right the concerned authorities to take money from the consolidated fund of the state, right, for expenditure. And next, fourth point, the president may suspend the provisions of the constitution relating to any authority of the state except those relating to high court. Some have joined in very late or they had just left the class, I don't know. Please, I'm finishing off with the breakdown of constitutional machinery, and I'm there starting point number 4, right? The president may suspend the provisions of the constitution. So most of the provisions get suspended, right, relating to the constitution. But yes, the High Court keeps working, right? The rest of them get suspended, but the High Court keeps working. Circumstances, if the president feels is satisfied that the situation has arisen whereby the financial stability or credit of, of the nation is threatened, right? So that time national emergency can be, financial emergency can be declared, right? Credit, credit means the money, monetary, right, is totally out, is not stable, right? So such a proclamation has to be laid before again both the houses, right, and is valid for how many months? 2 months. Now, the Lok Sabha is dissolved when such a proclamation is made, and a resolution supporting it is passed by Rajya Sabha, right? The proclamation will cease to exist at the expiry of 30 days, right? So all of a sudden, Lok Sabha got dissolved, right? So it is again the Rajya Sabha, right? The proclamation after some certain time, that is after 30 days, it will cease from the date on which Lok Sabha first sits after its constitution. I think you can just have a reading of this financial emergency. What is important? You must go through national emergency and state emergency. That's very important, right? Very important. You must go through that. Now, the effects of financial emergency. What are the effects to be observed? So, what do we see? The Finance Commission is set up to suggest methods to get out of financial crisis, right? So, how we can get get away from the financial crisis. A commission can be appointed. And next, he can adopt certain measures to restore financial stability. Right? So it's the finance commission which is going to give advice to the president. Next, the president can reduce the salaries and allowances of the people as well. So if the need arises, right? If the need arises, allowances of all or any class of person, including the judges as well, of the High Court and Supreme Court. Third, all money bills passed by Lok Sabha are to be submitted to the president for his consideration. So this all of us know that money bill needs the consideration of the president, needs the assent of the president. Next, both president can issue instructions to the state in regard to utilization of funds in the manner he thinks fit. So he is issuing instructions to the state, it means to the state government, okay, to the state government. So how they need to utilize funds. So I think now, for example, the situation is still existing right now. Must have observed at home. I know most of us are, yes, having enough, still surviving. But if you know that there are some still facing a lot of trouble, how to manage the money at home, how to spend, right? So similarly mentioned over here, the state, yes, the president gives advice how to utilize, how to spend the money, right? Being very systematic in the expenditure, right? And fifth, the president may order the state to submit money bills to him for his assent. So the state government also has to send the money bill to the president for his assent during the financial emergency, right? Normal days not needed, but during financial emergency, what is there? We see that the state has to give their money bill to the president for his assent. right? So this is in brief about the effect, right? I don't know. I hope just you have understood the duration of financial emergency, right? So I, I'm just expecting you have understood the duration of the financial emergency. Please, I'm just repeating, such a proclamation has to be laid before both the houses, and it is valid for how many days? 2 months. Okay, for 2 months. Now, there can be certain circumstances, right? That is, if the Lok Sabha is dissolved when such a proclamation is made, right? And resolution supporting it is passed by Rajya Sabha, so it will cease to exist. For example, again repeating, if Lok Sabha, right, gets dissolved, and if this proclamation of financial emergency is passed in Rajya Sabha, it will be there for 30 days, for 1 month, not 2 months, right? So this is in brief about financial emergency. Now you have question at the back. That is the last question I want to discuss. Finish off with this last question. Still have time, right? So according to Article 63, there shall be Vice President of India. So you have A, B, and C. Manner of his election. Manner of his election. Then both B, qualification for election, right? Qualification for election. And 4C, two of his important powers, right? Two of his important powers. So very fast going through the manner of his election. You have qualification. Qualifications, I think, citizen, being citizen of India, right? 35 years of age, and is qualified for election as a member of Council of States, right? Now, second, a person shall not be eligible when that person, okay, is not eligible to become the vice president, shall not be eligible for election as vice president if he holds any office of profit. I think you can now, whatever we have learned, right? So maybe becoming the member of Lok Sabha, right? Or member of parliament, if I say, or maybe member of the state legislative assembly, right? You should not be holding any office of profit, right? Under the government of India or government of any state, right? So at that time, he can be simply dismissed if he continues to hold office of profit, okay? Or under local or any other authority, which is under the control of the government. So if he is enjoying, right, any, yes, if I say any office, occupying any office which is being run by the state government, by the central government, or by any authority which is under the control of the government, he is not eligible to become the vice president of India. So this is the eligibility. So I think quite clear to everyone. Now next, election. How is he being chosen? This is very simple, right? Please don't get confused. Here we see that only the members of the parliament choose the vice president of India. Only the members of the parliament. That is mentioned over here through the system of proportional representation by means of single transferable vote, right? And each nomination paper should be proposed by at least 20 electors, and again supported by more 20 electors, right? So 20 members, yes, proposing his name, and more 20 members supporting him, okay? So earlier the requirement was only 5 proposer and 5 seconders. Now here, oath of office mentioned over here. So I think you got manner of election, the answer. This is the election. Question 4A. This is going to be the answer, election. Right? This is going to be the answer. Please mark it. 4A, this is the answer. Please mark it. Next, 4B, qualification for election. I think all of you got what is the qualification. Qualification, you will write down the qualification. Citizen of India, 35 years of age, qualified for election as a member of Council of State, right? And you can also add on, that is, he's not eligible right? If he's holding any office of profit, right? Is it clear? Now, next, you have oath of office. So, before entering upon his office, he takes an oath before the president. Okay, so he's taking the oath before the president. He should be knowing. Some end up writing for the board examination also. I'm telling you, writing the yes in front of the judge of the Supreme Court, like Chief Justice of India. Please don't end up writing all these rubbish, right? So you will write down takes oath before the President of India. Is it clear? So this is the oath which he takes, bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India, and to faithfully discharge his duties. Term of office, how long he is there, shall hold office for how many years? 5 years. This question was there asked this year. This year, this question had been asked that he is there for how many years? 5 years. He is there for 5 years. You should know it very carefully, right? And he may, by writing address to the president, resign his office. Okay, so he can write down his letter to the president and give his resignation. Right, his resignation will be communicated by the president to the speaker of the Lok Sabha that he has resigned. And third, he may, for violation of the constitution, removed by through the process that is called impeachment. Right, we had gone through the impeachment procedure, how the president of India is removed. That's the impeachment. And fourth, he shall continue to hold office, notwithstanding the expiry of his term, until his successor enters, right? So he will be there in office till his next successor enters the office, right? So 5 years, he has completed his 5 years, but yes, he will continue till the next person joins the office, right? Power and function, he is the chairman of the Rajya Sabha, right? He is the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. I think we had read in the first chapter. So two important powers have been asked. So you can write down two powers that Vice President of the Indian Union acts as the ex officio chairman of the Rajya Sabha and he regulates the debates and proceedings of the Rajya Sabha, head of the House, and decides the order of speech. It's almost like the Speaker of Lok Sabha, right? The powers of the speakers of the Lok Sabha. So same kind of power over here he's enjoying, right? So he's the ex officio chairman of Rajya Sabha, and the same powers are here. The way it was written, mentioned in the last chapter, both the speaker, debates, proceedings, the speeches, right? Everything is being decided by him. And admissibility of questions, resolutions, all being decided. He can adjourn, right, suspend or adjourn business of the House, right, in case of disorder. So it's just like the speaker, right? So he's just like a speaker. So speaker is there in the Lok Sabha. Here is in the Rajya Sabha we have the Vice President of India. But Vice President gets no salary. The Vice President gets no salary as the Vice President. Whatever is paid to him is only in the capacity of the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. So his salary, yes, it's not that he is the Vice President, so he's getting salary according to the Vice President. No, this is in the capacity of being the chairman of the Rajya Sabha. So this is in brief. Next, taking over as president. This is the next important power of the vice president. So in case the president resigns, or maybe due to death, or he's removed, it may be due to impeachment, right? So during those circumstances, it is the vice president who takes over all the powers, right? So he discharges all the powers and functions when the president is not there. So in the event of the president's death, resignation, removal, the vice president acts as the president and enters upon his office until new president is elected, right? So it's quite clear. No one has raised hand. Nobody asks any question. I think so. You don't have any question to ask, right? So you have got the answer. So the two important powers. You write down two powers. First, as a chairman of the Rajya Sabha, right? You can write down this whole paragraph. Chairman of the Rajya Sabha, first paragraph which is there. And next, you can write down as taking over as the president, right? Taking over as the president. Okay, someone has raised hand. Yes, Manaswin.
Ma'am,
Yes, Manaswin.
hello,
Tell me.
ma'am. Ma'am, can we say this uh, time of the lockdown as a financial emergency?
See, financial emergency has not been declared, but uh, see, crises were already existing before lockdown, if I say very practically, and things have just deteriorated because of this lockdown, right? I cannot say it's the government which can say. I'm no one to say is, but the situation is really under crisis, really under crisis. Like I just now gave the
So,
example.
ma'am, if it is not a financial emergency, it is a national emergency because it is national problem. Can we
Yeah,
say?
it's a national problem. I understand here it's a national problem, but it's not only a national problem. I think all the nations are suffering or going through this, right? All the nations are
Yes,
suffering
ma'am.
from, right? But it's all up to the government if they want to declare. But yes, it's a kind of situation. But none of these emergencies have been declared. But yes, we can get that feeling, yes, of emergency. We all are at home, not asked to move out, right? There's certain times, well, or if I say days are there for us to move, right? So during the times of emergencies also, yes, if you must have heard curfews and all, right, from your parents. So
Yes,
when
ma'am.
curfew, yes, when curfew is there, certain time limit is given. For example, maybe 2 hours the shops will open and people usually go and get their things. But it's a kind of a different lockdown where maybe because it's a communicable disease, you're not supposed to touch each other or remove, yes, be away from each other, right? So that is why we have a different timing. Otherwise, during times of emergencies, national emergencies, or whenever there is a curfew, there is a time limit. Maybe early in the morning, 8 to uh, maybe 8 to 10, 2 hours is given where people get their things, their necessities, and are back home. But we are supposed to avoid crowd also. We are supposed to avoid people not getting along with each other. Yes, keeping themselves apart from each other. That's a different situation. I don't know what to say about this situation. We all are have become victim of it. I just hope things get normal and pray to God also that things get normal because you're in class 10, right? Class 10, it's a very important year for you, very important year, and you're not getting your teachers, right? Online teaching, right? This virtual teaching is actually, if I say, not that helpful. It's not that helpful. I know most of you are not understanding also. That is why I just hope things get normal and we all meet up each other. And because if things, if we don't meet, you will really face a lot of trouble. We will not be able to discuss wherever I really need to discuss about it, right? Please, I'll tell you very clearly there are two chapters, sorry, certain chapters which really need to be discussed where you can score your marks and you can get children easily get 90s. 80s and 90s you can score easily. Yes, I'm very hopeful, right? So most of you can score very easily. That is why I'm saying I just hope things get normal and we meet up each other. We can discuss things, clarify wherever we have not understood. Because I'm very upset with the people uh, who are not attending the classes as well. They simply leave the class, right? They think it's enough. We really don't